Howdy, howdy all. Hope you're having a great Saturday if you're watching it currently. And if you're watching it post Saturday, I hope you're all having an amazing day or have had an amazing Saturday. A couple of things to get into just before we start the questions, because obviously at the moment we're still waiting for them to come in. If you're in need of any help with me, obviously down below in the description of this video or in the description or comment section of like any of the other videos, there is my link to my website where you can sign up for one-to-one coaching. But if you don't want to work directly with me, but you want some more additional help from me, there's exclusive videos, free worksheets, discounts on worksheets, a planner, routine, an I affirm for you service, and all of that lot, all on my membership, which will also be linked down below in the description of this or in the description or comment section of any other one of my videos as well. So I highly recommend you go check that out, just because obviously it could benefit you. If we could all like this live stream as well, whether you're watching it post or currently, just because, well, you're all watching it currently, but you know what I mean, whether you're watching it live or post, just because it helps push it out to more people, and it can really help us get some new viewers, new subscribers, and obviously help people ask questions that you may never know you needed the answer for. So if we could do all of that, that would be really handy. And I think that's everything for now. So let's get into some of the questions. Crimson Music says, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, Crimson Music. Glad to have you here. Jakari Snow says, so punctual. Hi, guys. Yeah, always got to be. Hate being late. Hate it. Can't stand it. But yeah, thank you very much for showing up and for being on time also. Geneva says, hi, Matthew. Hi, Katie. Howdy, howdy, Geneva. Rev T says, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy. I love the fact that that's caught on. Lily M says, hi, guys. Howdy, howdy. Glad to have you here. Jakari Snow says, Katie with them nails.
I need them infilled. They're like nearly grown off, but yeah, pink.
For all the guys out there, apparently that means when they grow too long and then you need to do something to them. I don't know.
It's literally infill. Like it's in the name. You fill in the little gap.
I know, but I thought you always got them taken off and then just put back on. I didn't
You
realize.
can do. You can have them taken like in a new set, but
it's weird.
Yeah, no.
Melissa says, howdy, 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 Melissa. Glad to have you here. Rev T says, long time I've been missing in action. How are you guys? Very well, thank you very much. How are you doing? Hopefully you MIA for good reasons and not bad reasons, but glad to have you here. I need my glasses. I'm struggling to read today. Linz says, happy manifesting to all. Have a good evening to all. Absolutely. Happy manifesting to everyone. And you have a very good evening also. Thank you for the kind words to everyone. ABCDEFGH says, no question, just wanted to say that your videos helped me get my SP back once. Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear that my content has helped you get your desire. That's great. Why am I struggling so much to see? I might actually have to go get my glasses. Parissa says, hey, you guys, howdy, howdy. Glad to have you here. Is it because of the angle? No.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Is it the light behind?
I don't know what it is. I'm just struggling to see the letters. I need glasses. I don't wear them in any of my videos or anything because of the ring light. You'll just see my eyes are just white circles, but I do wear glasses. And
like mine are right
yeah,
now.
pretty much how Katie's are, but because my glasses are thinner, it shows up a lot more. It basically takes up the entire lens. So that's why I don't wear them during the stream. And then I'm like, what does it say? Crimson Music says, intentional non-manifesting question, lol, how you're liking that vocal course. I haven't actually got too far into it. So for those of you that don't know, one of my favorite vocalists is Will Ramos, and he did a vocal course with another vocal instructor that I quite like, Chris Lipe. And of course, you know, I got it, you know, you got to practice that stuff. And I'm a little bit of the way into it, but in all honesty, with having the kids in the house and Katie being home and all that kind of stuff, I don't actually have as much time to practice vocals as I would like to, because for those of you that don't know, I'm in a band myself. Obviously I could practice it, but then it's just everyone's just got to listen to the loud noises and shit, and it's just not fun for anyone. So I haven't managed to get into it as much as I would like, but so far I would say that it's okay. I'm hoping that it gets better, but I'm not far enough into it to make a full judgment yet. If you've got it yourself, how are you finding it?
I was just gonna say the whole it's not fun for anybody to listen is just his opinion. I quite like listening to him sing and practice and make funny noises, but he always thinks I'm lying. So
I find it really difficult. It's definitely something I have to work on in my own head, like as in like not feeling like a goofy goober, basically. Jane says hello both. Howdy, howdy, Jane. Glad to have you here. Nicole says hey, howdy, howdy. Revty says, Matt, learning about nails, perks of having a girlfriend. Yeah, I'm never going to need that knowledge, though. So it's stuff you pick up along the way, you know. It's like if I was to be locked in a room with two people that know everything about ice cream, I'd bound to learn about ice cream over an extended period of time. It's the same sort of thing here. I didn't know what an infill was, but I heard the word. So yeah, I'm never gonna need that knowledge though. Every time she's
I
like,
do.
"Get your nails done," what should I get my nails done? I make a suggestion, and then I'm like, I never know whether it's going to turn out nice, and it's a very hit or miss because if they're horrible, it's my fault. So I just like blue.
Sometimes I'm just like, no.
Yeah, yeah. I have to go
No.
safe and just be like baby blue, pink. Jageri Snow says, "Do you get your glasses? Oh, do get your glasses, sir. You don't have to struggle." But like I say, it shows up glowy, and I don't really like it.
Just be glowy like me.
No, because I
Let's
hate
glow
it.
together.
I hate it because I'll stare too much looking at the glow, look like an idiot. So I wouldn't even pay attention to questions. ABCDEFGH says, "Beautiful couple, have a great day." Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day also. Parissa says, "Quick question. Conflicted as to whether I should go on dates while manifesting for my SP. It's entirely up to you." Now, I know it sounds contradictory to say this, but it does not matter whether you are or aren't dating while manifesting your specific person. As long as your thoughts are all in the right space and you're still sort of living in that end, still impressing your subconscious mind with the correct story, what you do in the 3D means very, very little. It's all in the state of your consciousness. And I know it sounds strange because a lot of people be like, well, if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't be on dates. And I completely get that. But I've manifested people while dating. Sorry, Kate, I know it's not something you want to hear, but for the purposes of this thingy, not you though, not you. Sounds awful. Made it worse. But and I've had success, and so have other of my clients as well who have dated while manifesting and still got their people. But if you don't want to date, you don't have to. You absolutely can stay single, because even when manifesting Katie back, I didn't even think about another person and still managed to get them her back. So you can date if you want to. You don't have to date if you don't want to. Just do what feels comfortable for you. As long as your mind is in the right place of being in that relationship, what you do in the 3D means very, very little. Yeah, I'm in trouble after this. Nicole says, "You guys are so cute." Yeah, we are.
was.
We was.
Yeah, we was.
There's no longer a you guys anymore. That's it. We've had enough.
Okay, manifest someone else.
Yeah, no. There's going to be a new video in about 3 months from now saying I manifested her back again. Kerry says, "Yo, I got it. Awesome. Glad to hear you've got it. What have you got? Is it like what we're talking about, or is it like got it to the stream? Let us know what you got." ABCDEFGH says, "Can you talk about the whisper method in a video?" I absolutely can. I can't remember if I do have a video on the whisper method. I think I do, and it's a very, very long ago video, very, very old video. So I think I can definitely add it to the list to do it again. There's a lot of videos that I've been thinking that like have been so old that I could just do a revamped version of it, or just go over the same stuff again, but in like the new way of talking, the new sort of style of video and stuff, because there's been a lot of progress in the content itself.
And also the other thing is the methods that you use adapt over time. So like you've made
Adaptations.
There you go, to what you were doing in the first place. So they might not be like exactly what you're doing now. So you could be like, oh, revisiting this, but this is how I do it now in comparison to how I used to do it. And this is the difference in effect, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Not to mention, but like, if we're being real, most other LOA coaches do the same specific person video every day, just with a different title. So I'm sure I could get away with revamping a video from 9 months ago. So yeah, I probably will. I'll add it to the list definitely, and then I'll get around to it at some point to do the whisper method in a video, just for the purposes of making it, more inclined with what it is that you want. Are you wanting me to give demonstrations or just explain it? Or I suppose you probably want both, but let me know what it is that you're kind of hoping to get out of that video. Shakari Snow says, "Nice question at Parissa." What was Parissa's question? Apologies, I've forgotten. Oh yeah, the dates one. Yeah. Well, hopefully I gave an extensive enough answer. It's one of those things that sounds contradictory, but if you worry less about the contradiction, you'll just have more success with it. If we could all like the stream as well, I notice there's 24 people in here and only 6 likes. So if we could like the stream, it just helps push it out to more people, and it does the YouTube behind the scenes kind of stuff. Geneva says, "The only thing standing between my SP and me are his fears and doubts regarding our past. He still loves me very much. This is a huge block for me. How could I address this with an affirmation?" So I said, can we like it? And 4 people left. Okay, so the fact that he still loves you very much is obviously a great thing. That kind of hopefully will give you that confidence to say that it definitely could be overcame. Now, his fears are just you holding them in place by placing your focus on it. You're assuming he has those fears, and ergo, that's the reality that you're experiencing. So if you're wanting an affirmation to shift that, you could say something along the lines of, regardless of what we've experienced in the past, we are making such a lovely couple. Or despite anything that happened between us, SP still loves being in this relationship with me, or something like that. You can kind of address it to say, yeah, this happened, but we've forgiven each other and moved on. Or yeah, this has happened, but that's not stopping us from being together. And you can kind of frame it. Generally, I will say that it is better to focus entirely on what you want as opposed to the removal of what you don't want. But this is at least a way to kind of semi remove what you don't want and then place it on, and now we're together. So regardless of what's happened between us, we are now making this relationship work. Or despite our past, SP absolutely adores being in this relationship with me, or wants to make this relationship work, or something along those lines. Crimson Music says, I don't have it yet, but I'm working through old Melissa Cross lesson recordings in the meantime. She's the GOAT. Yeah, Melissa Cross is yeah, she's really well renowned. I've never, not that I've never seen it. I've seen like little clips and stuff of her working with certain like musicians and all that, but I've never actually seen like an official course or like a full blown, this is what you can do video of hers. But I know a lot of people really like her stuff. I definitely think the Will Ramos course is worth getting. I just hope that it does kind of take that extra step. But like I said, I'm only about halfway through at this moment in time. So when we're not even really out of the starting gates yet. So yeah, it should get better. But yeah, Melissa, she's really highly renowned, to be fair. I don't know how much her stuff costs, but from my understanding, she's definitely making a good living off of it. American Girl says, can I manifest billions of dollars, 2 billion BECU, I need them. So in theory, yes, you can manifest anything. It's just about aligning your mindset, aligning yourself with that end result. To you, potentially you might struggle to really align with the being someone who has 2 billion. So maybe it might be worth locking it down a little bit if you're struggling to align with that. But there's nothing to say that don't go to that end result. As it actually mentions in the ebook that I'm writing, if you shoot for the stars, you may land on the moon. So by having that 2 billion as a goal, try to dwell in it, try to live in the end of having it, and then allow whatever comes as a result of it to come, and continue to focus on the end result and let it all happen. But if you find that 2 billion is way out of your range, and as a result, you just can't even remotely live in the end of it, maybe just take it down a little bit to what you can do. However, in theory, yes, that is an amount that you could manifest. There are people out there that have more than that. So why not you? Start to understand what someone having that much money would think like, feel like, act like, and then try to take that on yourself. And, one day it will come to you, hopefully. JM says, question for Katie. What did you feel when Matt was manifesting you? Have you, were you naturally inclined to think of him? Just curious, lol.
Yeah, so to begin with, obviously, I was very set on, the idea of never ever speaking to him again, kind of thing. And that was that. And like sort of slowly I had like these thoughts and feelings sort of creep in, and they were more like urges, like, oh, I should text him, I should do this, I should do that. But each time I was like fighting them and like pushing them down and ignoring it overall. And then on the day that we actually like reconnected and actually saw each other for the first time, we were in absolute no contact whatsoever. And the day that we did get in contact with each other was just kind of like, I woke up that morning, I had other plans, I had lots of things to do that day, and I cancelled all of them and just went to his house. He wasn't actually there. And I then had to like phone him and try and track him down and find him. But yeah, so it was like just a full sort of like 180 on what I was thinking and feeling. But in that meantime, and like in the days leading up to it and stuff like that, it was like urges where I'd type out a message and then just completely delete it, sort of thing. So yeah, I hope that answers it. Yeah.
Where were we? Oh yeah, in my 20.
Get your glasses.
No, I didn't go for my one to get a drink. It skipped. I had to go find where we were now. In my 20s says, I'm getting married to someone I don't like in 4 months. Should I stop manifesting my SP as I'm worried I'm wasting my time? I have to prep for wedding. What if it didn't manifest in time? So if it doesn't manifest in time, well, it depends, because obviously I'm assuming, because you're saying I'm getting married to someone I don't like in 4 months, it's arranged, at least to a degree. That's just going on an assumption. And obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. So I know there may be more implications to that on your side of things, i.e. this isn't something I can walk away from once it's happened or something like that. So I'm just going to go off of how I would operate, and then you can obviously take from it what you will, just because I don't know what boundaries are set in place on your side of things. But just because you get married at that point doesn't mean that you can't then continue to manifest and then have it come in and pursue that once it does come in. It's not like, oh, I'm married now, therefore I cannot have this. From a manifestation standpoint, obviously, from your side of things, that might be how you want to operate. But from a manifestation standpoint, it's not a case of I'm now married, therefore I can't manifest this person. So if you want to stop manifesting them to prepare for the wedding, by all means do it. Obviously, do that from your choice, not just because I've said so. But you can manifest them. And obviously, you can prepare while manifesting as well. Manifestation is just about trying to align those thoughts and feelings when they arise and, try to be proactive with it, i.e., taking some time to do affirmations or visuals or whatever. But it doesn't have to take up your entire day. Therefore, you can still do the prep and manifest at the same time. Just try to take allotted times for the manifestations and such. And try to sort of fit them both in together. However, it's a difficult question to answer because I don't know what is going on your side of things to sort of say, yes, even if they come after your marriage, you can then go off with them or XYZ thing like that. But from a manifestation standpoint, regardless of whether you get married or not, you can still manifest your person and still have them come in the way that you want them to. As for what you say about you're worried about you wasting your time. You're not going to waste your time if you continue to persist until you choose not to persist anymore. Like if it's 9 months more and then you get them, is that a waste of time? It depends on obviously how much you want this individual, but it's not really a waste of time if you persist in something that you desire, no matter how long it takes. And it's a difficult question for me to answer, like I say, because I don't know what is going on your side of things to sort of say, yes, I cannot leave this marriage because it's arranged. I'm just going off on that because you said you're getting married to someone you don't like in 4 months, and usually people don't choose to get with someone that they don't like from a marriage perspective. But hopefully that at least gives you some ideas to work with. Kerry says the monster drink. Oh, yay! That's great. I'm glad. For those of you that don't know, for a wee while, Kerry has been asking about the Monster energy drink and how to manifest it, and now apparently it's coming to play, and that's great. I'm glad glad to hear it. Vansh, apologies if I said that wrong, says, I'm not talking about circumstances, but I persisted every day and tried to stay in the end. It's been 4 months, but old stories come to mind and I trigger me. Help. Okay, so what is it you need help with specifically? Because there's obviously a lot that like could be incorporated in. Oh, then there's another comment.
No,
Oh no,
it's
it's
the
the same
same
thing.
one.
Same thing twice. Yeah. So there's obviously a lot that could be spoken about in that. For example, you say that, but you persist every day. What is it that you're persisting in? What affirmations are you using? What visuals are you using? How are you persisting? Are you saying they're reaching out to me every day, and then they may be doing that, but not getting the relationship? Or it's very difficult for me to know how to help you based on that kind of comment. So what is it specifically that you're looking for help with?
I think that they're looking for help with like when the old story comes in and it triggers
As
like
in the
that
triggers.
part, as in like you can persist every single day, but every single day you're still having the old story pop up at the end of the day, for example, and then you feel triggered, and then it's like fighting a sort of.
I'll let them answer and see what they
No,
say.
that's fine.
Dracarius Snow says, lol. Lol. American Girl says, I really want to manifest my desire so fast, less than 3 days, because I need that so quick. So if I assume it's done, etc., you told me so, will it manifest my ideal time, or I'll manifest in months? So your subconscious mind makes things happen in the fastest way possible once impressed with this new internal story. How fast, the fastest way possible, obviously that's subjective. For example, if you're manifesting your person to show up in the next 10 minutes, but they're currently across the planet, physically impossible for them to get to you in 10 minutes. So that's something to consider. Now, by dwelling in the end result as if it's here right now and really surrendering that end result, redirecting your focus back to it, living from the end result, you will make it happen in the fastest way possible. I cannot promise you that it will come to you within the time scale that you want, within the 3 days, especially considering 3 days is obviously a very short time. In the grand scheme of you actually dwelling in the end result, having enough time for it to be impressed and then having it play out for you. So I cannot promise that will happen for you within 3 days. However, what I can promise you is if you just focus on being in the end result, try to dwell there as much as you can. When you fall out of that state, redirect to it, surrender to it, all of just the manifestation process, and try to stay committed to it. It will happen in the fastest way possible. You just need to stay out of its way, essentially. And by stay out of its way, I mean not asking the questions of where is it, why is it not here, how long is this going to take, and all those kinds of things. XM says hello, howdy XM, glad to have you here. Jane says, apart from doing my sleep tape, what do I need to do? I'm obviously doing my worksheets. So, apart from your sleep tape, your sleep tape is obviously for when you're asleep. And during the day, I would recommend you utilizing what you've got from the worksheets, whether it's affirmations, visualization, scripts, however you want to go about it, to just help you redirect yourself back to that end state of being in your relationship. If you don't want to necessarily use a technique, just stop and ask yourself every now and then, what would my desired version, as in the version of you with your desire, what would that version of me think, feel, and act like? And then try to see if you can consciously think, feel, and act in that way now to bring your future to the present moment. It's a process of being defined by your end result and then trying to live in the end result as if it's here right now. So thinking from the perspective of having it, not of the perspective of having it, feeling from the perspective of having it. If you know you'd be excited, try to feel that excitement internally now. If you know that you would think certain thoughts that when you're in that relationship or whatever it is you're manifesting, try to think those kinds of thoughts as though it's happening right now, and just try to do that consistently throughout the day. A lot of people like to take structured times, for example, like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, to just do some affirmations, and then throughout the day they'll try to fit in more affirmations if and when they can. But it's just about redirecting your focus back to, this is what my end result version of me would be thinking, feeling, and acting like, so therefore I'm going to think, feel, and act like that myself. Aiden says, what games do you enjoy playing to have fun? So at the moment, I'm like a massive fan of Minecraft again. You know how like everyone goes through that like period once a year where they play it for like a little bit and then they never play it again until the next year. I'm going through my phase at the moment. I really like Dragon Ball Fighters, even though it fucks me off so much. I hate it, but I love it. It's a toxic relationship. That's about it for all I play at the moment, to be honest. I don't really play much else.
You play Time Stopper. Is it Time Stopper?
Time Splitters. So there's a
Time
game that I
Splitter.
used to play when I was a kid on the GameCube, and I bought it the other day for the Xbox and started it again. And then I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I've completed it and I've deleted it because I don't want to play it. Yeah, but that's fun.
Completed it, mate.
But that's about it really in terms of games. I don't really play games I play games a reasonable amount, but I don't actually play that many of them.
It's kind of like an obsession at a time.
yeah.
Like there's like 4, and that is it for a short period of time. Yes. Go and do it then. Oh, hold on. Sorry.
She's gonna go sort the kid out. If you hear screaming, it's probably Katie. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that I'm playing at the moment. My favorite game franchises are Gears of War and the Borderlands. They're definitely like chef's kiss. They're perfect. Vange says, I am not talking about circumstances. Oh, that's the same question we already answered. Oh, it skipped. Where did we get to? Oh, and then Aiden says, what inspired you to pursue music? I appreciate this, Aiden, because you're asking me questions that are separate to LOA, which obviously I sort of mentioned briefly in the last stream. So I appreciate this, and Crimson Music asking about the course as well. So I appreciate it. What inspired you to make music? Or to be involved in music? So when I was younger, I always just had like a fascination for vocals. My mum used to constantly tell me off and tell me to shut up because I used to sound like a drowned rat, apparently. And I used to just constantly like drone and stuff. But it would be, singing, rapping, whatever it was at the time that I was listening to. And then I became massively obsessed with Eminem, which pretty much every single guy my age did when Eminem was huge. And I was literally in secondary school. I was known as the kid that did Eminem music. People would constantly stop me and ask me to just rap a verse from Eminem because I could do it quite easily back then. And then I actually wrote my own song. I wrote a couple actually when I was like a lot younger. And it's just always been like a fascination to just do vocals. I'm not even that interested in music itself. Like, for example, I don't like dubstep because it's just noises. I don't really like drum and bass. I don't really like reggae, jazz, anything like that, because of it. A lot of it isn't vocal, and when it is vocal, I'll be honest, it's not really my kinds of vocal stuff. But I would rather listen to someone singing with no music than music with no singing. Basically, I've always been more fascinated with the vocal sense of stuff, lyrics, how lyrics hit people. And then yeah, when I was in secondary school, I did start up a YouTube channel to do metal vocal covers, which were fucking horrific. But it was just something that I was going through foster care and everything, and I was going through my midlife crisis, about 40 years too young. And that was something that I did. And then yeah, it just kind of grew from there. And then I realized that it was actually something I really wanted to do. And I pursued metal vocals and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I ended up finding the band and just decided to join. It's always been a fascination to be a vocalist. I don't even really care about music that much. I just like doing vocal stuff. I could probably be a voice actor, and that would probably still, have the same passion as I have for music. So I suppose it's more the vocal side of things than actually music itself, but it's mostly that I've always had an interest in, how lyrics play out, how certain lines in certain songs would kind of make you shudder, and how someone could be the happiest person in the world and then they listen to a sad song and it completely changes them, and that kind of stuff has always fascinated me. So that's why I ended up pursuing vocals. Guardian said, "Oh my god, I just realized I was not subscribed to you. I almost missed this stream. Shame on me. Haha." Well, hopefully you're subscribed now and you won't miss any future streams or future videos. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. That goes for everyone as well. Thank you so much for the support, all of you. And Guardian also says, "Great to see Katie too."
Thanks. Great to see you too.
God's only says, "It's been love at first sight. Haven't spoken to him ever, but could sense it was reciprocated. SP didn't know I'm unhappily married, but I guess he figured out. I never got a chance to explain, and now he doesn't talk. What can I do? How do I explain myself since I'm blocked?" Okay, so you don't need to be unblocked to manifest someone. It's not like you need that open avenue in order to manifest someone. What you should do in this kind of instance is the standard sort of manifestation process, which is decide your end result. I'm assuming in this case it would be in a relationship with him, so I'm just going to go off of that. But if it's not, obviously decide your end result. Understand how that version of you would think, feel, and act like. If you need to structure it more specifically, what kind of things could you affirm that details that you're in this relationship? What kind of things could you visualize? What kind of things could you script? And then go through your day on a consistent basis, just redirecting your thoughts back to, yes, we're in this relationship, or we're so happy together, or visualize yourself on a dinner date celebrating your 1 year anniversary, or whatever to you would define that you're in this relationship with this person, and then redirect your focus back to that on a consistent basis. Let go of whatever is showing up in the 3D to say that you can't have it, because the 3D is like looking into a memory. It's like reading last week's newspaper. It's pointless for you today. So redirect your focus back to that internal state of being with them, and then anything that comes up in the 3D, laugh it off and say, well, that's not the case because, and then show your mind the news story. Because your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's not real. And it also doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. All it assumes is that what you're thinking is going on, or the story that it's given is going on right now. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people will find their fears end up playing out quite a lot. It's because if you're in a state of fear, your subconscious mind doesn't know that we're fearing a non-existent outcome's potential. It goes, if we're feeling this, we must be experiencing this, and therefore makes it happen. So use that same principle here. Feel the excitement of your relationship, feel the joy of the relationship, focus on being in this relationship, bring it to your mind, dwell there, and make it happen. Let go of whatever's going on in the 3D. And the more that you do this, the more you'll start to replace that story in your subconscious mind until your new one plays out. Sophie says, manifested almost everything but SP, even though there's been some movement, but I'm just tired and don't care anymore. Is this Sabbath state, and what's your advice? Sabbath state is like that kind of that peace, that bliss. For want of a better term, the calm before the storm, but in this instance, the storm being a good thing because it's your desire. That's generally what the Sabbath state is detailed to be. Now, I'm not going to say that like you're not in the Sabbath state because you're saying you don't care. Not caring could just be the same as not being in need of it. But it depends very much on your process. I can't say for sure whether you're in the Sabbath state based on what you've said there, because it could just be that you're so angry at the situation that you're done with it, basically, which is why you don't care. However, what I would say is that you're definitely in a state of disattachment or unattachment or whatever, which is a good thing. Being super attached and needy for a desire is a worse place to come from than being relaxed and sort of okay whether it does or doesn't happen, because at least then you can come from a more abundance place as opposed to the constricting, lackful place of I need this, I'm obsessed with this, and things of that nature. So what my advice would for you in this instance would be, if you're tired, take a day or two off. Allow your mind to rest a little bit. It's a mindset shift, and therefore, if as long as you're not doing detrimental work, having a couple of days off isn't going to kill your manifestation. Once you feel kind of revitalized to do so, obviously during this time period off, if you do just choose to have a break to let yourself rest a bit, try to at least stay vigilant with your thoughts. Don't then start to think negative. Don't then start to reaffirm some opposing story. Just allow yourself to go through your day and enjoy your days. But then once you kind of are ready and revitalized again, jump back on it. Just because you're in a place of not caring, or even if you do reach your Sabbath state, Sabbath state being coined by Neville Goddard, even though Neville Goddard said persist until it hardens into fact, not persist until we feel like it should have hardened into fact and then complain about it, or persist until we feel like it hardens into fact and then give up. So what I recommend you do is once you feel revitalized, if you choose to have the break, jump back onto your process and come at it at full force. Yes, this is mine. It's done. Anything that's standing in my way is going to be removed. It's on its way to me. It's here. Like however you choose to go about your process. But the main essence here is to persist until it hardens into fact. Keep going until you get your desire. And don't let anything that happens in the 3D get in the way. Like I said a second ago to a different comment, the 3D is like last week's newspaper. It's not going to be that important for you. So you might as well just show your subconscious mind this new story of we're together and let it happen without putting too much pressure on yourself. Laurie says, shower, shower, shower. Well, I don't know what that's in relation to. If you could explain that, that would be appreciated. Solani says, hi, Katie and Matthew. I hope you guys are doing well. So grateful for all your content, constant effort. Thank you very much. Thank you for showing up and thank you for the kind words. We do put a lot of effort into everything on here, not just the videos, but also like the Instagram posts and stuff like that and the members content and all that lot. So if you're interested in seeing any of the Instagram posts that mostly Katie makes, to be honest, go check out our Instagram. It's just Mind Over This Matrix. It's the same as the YouTube channel name. And there's a lot more stuff on there that could help you even further in your journey. Vanch says, a 3P situation, not a situation my 3D shows me. A 3P situation, not a situation my 3D shows me. This switch is not true, but sometimes it triggers me and old fights and things come to mind. And sometimes it's hard to stabilize states. Please tell me. A 3P situation, not a situation.
Oh, is that the one who asked the question?
Yeah, and we wanted to clarify.
Cool.
But I don't. A 3P situation, not a situation my 3D shows me. This, which is not true, but sometimes it triggers me and old fights and things come to mind, and sometimes it's hard to stabilize states. Please tell me.
Okay, so they have sort of like reminders or visualizations or something like that that shows their person with a 3D with a third party, and then that triggers the old memories of fights and arguments and stuff like that. So how to stop that is basically, I think, your question. If it's wrong, then let us know. But yeah, how to stop the trigger, like the
triggers.
spiral,
it's fine. Yeah. Okay, so in this kind of instance, quite often what will happen when you have some negative thoughts or feelings come to mind is this perceived story may kick up some anxiety, some fears, and all that kind of stuff. And what tends to happen is your mind and body will kind of go into this fight or flight response. You may find yourself having like really rapid heart racing, or you may find yourself having shallower breath, or maybe even not breathing at all, sort of thing. And you won't think clearly and all those kinds of things. You'll just be kind of like laser focused to a fight or flight response, essentially. What is generally best for you to do in these kind of instances is to just try and do the opposite of what a fight or flight response tries to make you do, and that is focusing on your breath work. One of the best things that I've found for myself personally, and for a lot of other people that I've worked with also, is that when you are in those states of high anxiety, or when you are having that heart racing because you're thinking of something that makes you angry or makes you fearful, is to just slow it all down, sort of have a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and really slow it all down, which will then hopefully begin to slowly reset your body so that you'll gradually come out of that fight or flight response. And by focusing on your breath as you do it, you're removing your focus and awareness away from those thoughts and those feelings a little bit better, to then stabilize yourself. And then once you're in a more stable position, that's when you can choose something new to focus on. Having thoughts and feelings arise that are not desired isn't necessarily the problem. It's what you do with it from there. As humans, we are going to have constant sort of fluctuations of state. Even the richest person in the world might have the odd fleeting thought of, oh God, what if I lost all this one day? Could happen. But the difference is a rich person thinking that thought and a poor person thinking that thought, is the poor person will associate with that a whole lot more, like, oh shit, I wouldn't be able to pay for, food, blah, blah, blah. A rich person will be like, that's ridiculous. And even if it does, I know what I need to do to get that money back, for example. It's all about whether you associate with those thoughts or not. So if you're in that state where those thoughts and feelings have arisen and kind of made you feel some type of way, just take a few deep breaths to sort of bring yourself back a little bit. And then once you feel calmer, once you feel more relaxed, then you can choose your new story and focus on that new story, because it's all about redirection of focus. not it's all about the redirection of focus, not the fact that something's come up, essentially. Have you seen something that you want to remove?
No, I'm just trying to work something out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's up?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Let me find where we were. Wow, there's a lot of comments today. Okay, so American Girl says, okay, thanks for the answer. But how much time will $2 billion take to come to me in real life? Please tell me. That's obviously very much subjective. Like I said earlier, your subconscious mind makes things happen in the fastest way possible. Once you assume it into being, once you can align with that version of yourself. So I cannot say for sure how long any manifestation would take for any of you, whether it's the $2 billion, a relationship, a new job, anything. I cannot say for sure. All that I can say to you is that if you focus less on how long something is going to take and more on actually aligning with that end result, the better you will have your journey be and the better the outcome's going to be. Are you sure? You're looking at your phone
Yeah,
like real
no,
square.
it's just like this here. I just with that one because it's just seemed a bit odd.
Oh, okay.
Not I can't work out whether maybe that's just some kind of like spam thing.
Oh, okay. So GT says, what would you suggest if people can't ignore the 3P in the 3D? So I never really recommend people to ignore something. Ignoring, in my opinion, is probably the wrong word for what I recommend. More about redirection of focus. Now, yes, obviously, if you can ignore the third party without even having to try, you can just be, oh yeah, whatever. Then great, good for you, sort of thing. But most people, as your question details, can't. Most people would look at that and go, "That's my person. Why are you near them?" sort of thing. So it's more about redirection. In my opinion, the best way to be able to at least not let a third party get to you as much is to understand why they get to you as much and begin to work on that yourself. So if you look at this third party and be like, oh, well, they're prettier than me, so that's why my person wants them, just as an example, in those instances, start to work on your self-value, start to work on your self-concepts. You can get to a point where even if like you see them together, you're like, he'd be lucky to have me anyway, so why would I be threatened by you, so to speak? Build up yourself a little bit, and that will make you look at the third party less as a threat and more as a joke. I don't mean that in like a negative sense, but instead of seeing it as something extremely negative, just more of like a, yeah, whatever. But when you do notice the third party in your 3D reality, it's not like you have to just turn a blind eye to it and just walk past it. It's more just about, redirection away. So I can see that you're there, but that's my person. Or, I can see what you're trying to show me in the fact of I've created this third party through maybe insecurities or thinking the wrong kind of thoughts. But I no longer align with it because this is my person. I'm in a relationship with this person. You're just a friend or you're just XYZ thing. And then just redirecting your focus away from the fact of this is my replacement or this is someone who threatens me, and instead say this is SP is my person, so there's nothing to worry about. I'm in this relationship with my person, so what am I even questioning? And it's about redirection away from that third party and instead onto what you want, because the more you feed that story of being with your relationship, the more anything that's in the way of that becoming your truth will gradually begin to fall off to make way for that outcome.
Sorry, I was just going to add real quick. I actually did a post on the Instagram the other day.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I think is really super important is not to put down a third party. I really think that is, a super important thing to do, because if you are putting all of your attention on the fact that they are bad and that they are, crap for that person, they're ugly, they're this, they're that, I'm way better than them, I'm so much better than this person, all you're really affirming is that that person's rubbish and you're better than them. And like, yeah, that helps you in the moment feel better, but you're not actually spending any time or focus on the end goal of having your person. You are just putting all of your focus and all of your energy towards this person, and then you're just going to see more of them, and you're just going to you might start hearing about them more. You might start hearing your friends say, oh my god, have you heard that blah blah is such a bad person? And that's all you're doing, is creating these like additional reasons for them to be there, sort of thing. So I think it's really important when you are affirming and visualizing and whatever technique you're using, that you are just thinking about you and your SP. And you can add in things like, oh yeah, that's just SP's friend or whatever, or they're on their way out or whatever it is. But if you're going, I'm better than third party, I'm prettier than third party is a rubbish girlfriend for my person, blah blah blah. You're still affirming that they're their girlfriend. You're still affirming that they're there. You're still creating them in that moment. You're just creating them as really bad, and it might lead to your person like breaking up, and it might lead to them, having a messy breakup and splitting up, but that doesn't still guarantee you your person.
Yeah. There is a post like Katie said at the beginning on my Instagram that kind of goes into that as well. So again, if you're not following the Instagram, I recommend you do so for exactly those kinds of reasons. Jacari Snow says, at American Girl, no one can tell you when. If they do, you are being lied to. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I actively avoid the get your person in 3 days, or they'll call in 60-minute stuff, because it can happen. I've definitely had people call me within 60 minutes of doing a technique and stuff like that. But the idea of sort of amplifying that you can get it within this time frame is just, I don't like doing that, because like Jacari Snow says, no one can guarantee you a time frame of when you'll get any kind of desire, and if they do, then unfortunately they're feeding you potentially false information, unless they're just far beyond my level of consciousness and they're like up here or something. But the likelihood of that happening is quite low. So like I said a second ago, I would recommend you worry less about how long something will take, and actually more about focusing on being in the state effectively and actually making it happen in the first place. American Girl then says, okay, so can I manifest death or something like that? That's a strange question. I'm not going to answer that, because you might start, like, I don't know, making Horcruxes and shit. Crimson Music says, a bit ago, there was a whole week where my brain just gave out on words then. Could not read that in a fluent voice. A bit ago, there was a whole week where my first crush ever from high school messaged me a ton. Then she disappeared. It was kind of awesome, though. A lot of birds before land, and a self-concept thing, I take it. Well, yeah, quite often, if you're focusing on, let's say, for example, you're focusing on a relationship and you're trying to internalize the feelings, the thoughts of that relationship, being that our subconscious mind is a storer of information, is what builds this entire life around us, is why we have these internal stories. It's why the way that you were treated as a kid by your dad could be the way that you deal with men when you grow older, for example. Due to all of these kinds of internal stories, your subconscious mind likes to go with what it's already experienced in order to make things happen. Now, because it takes the path of least resistance, if you're focusing on feeling, let's say, for example, the excitement or the rush of being in a relationship, it might bring up an instance in the past, like this instance, your first ever crush, where you felt that excitement, you felt that rush. And it's like, here's the experience you've been talking about, just because it's the path of least resistance, which is often why people of your past will come up when you're trying to manifest a new person or an ex back, because it's taken that path of least resistance of, we felt this before, let me make it happen. By persisting, that's when you can break past those barriers of your specific person you're trying to get, and then that's when they come in. So if you're having people that are from your past coming in that way, a lot of people seem to take it as a bad thing, as in like, oh, this is the wrong person. Honestly, it's a good thing. It's not what you want, I understand that, but it's a step in the right direction. I mean that in general, not just you, Crimson Music, but like most other people will sort of say, oh, this is the wrong person, and get quite defeated about it. But in actuality, it's a good thing. It's like, if you were to plant a seed, for example, when it first sprouts, that could be the similarity of someone from your past coming back. Yes, obviously there's not the full flower, but it's evidence of that flower growing. If you continue persisting, watering the flower and so on and so forth, it will become your full flower, which will be your specific person. So if an old person comes back, definitely birds before land, definitely a good thing. And as for the self-concept thing, yeah, self-concept will definitely play a part in what you experience. It'll play a part in people starting to show up for you the way that you want them to, because when you start showing up for yourself, that's when you're opening other people to show up for you also.
That was a great analogy.
Thanks.
That was a good one that time. I liked that.
What do you mean that time? They're all good.
Some of them are goofy, but that one was just
I tried to keep it interesting. Princess says, I want to manifest my SP by an event that is less than a month, because I'd like to go there with my SP in the 3D. We've been in no contact for 5 months. How could I best manifest him by this event? What I would recommend you do in this kind of instance is just imagine yourself on the event with this person. If you like affirmations, you could do something like, I had so much fun with insert person's name at insert event. If it's visualizations, you could imagine yourself doing something at this event with this person. You could imagine yourself going over to him saying, I'm so glad you came here with me. If it's scripting, you could write out a whole story about how you enjoyed your time together. What matters most, though, is understanding that you want that event with them. And if that's at this moment in time, your sort of main focus, dwell in the end result of that event having happened with your specific person involved. Dwell in the end result of you sharing that moment with them, regardless of what technique you like to do. And then redirect your focus back to that end state on a consistent basis to feed your subconscious mind, hey, we went to this event with this person and here's how it was. And that's all that's really required. It doesn't, the process doesn't change no matter what it is that you're trying to manifest. Really understand your end result, claim to yourself that end result is in existence, and then try to let go of anything in between that's stopping you from getting there, or that stops your mind from being okay with the idea that you're there, and dwell in it until it happens. And if it doesn't happen, on the off chance, don't let it get you down. Don't let it go, oh, I can't manifest him because I didn't get it by this date. Maybe you didn't get him by the date, but maybe you might get him the week after. Maybe you might be able to celebrate a different event with them and enjoy that then. What matters most is that you don't let yourself get down about anything. Kerry says, now I need to manifest my SP, but I know how to do it, but I do struggle with persisting in that. Well, you have the steps, you have the success. Obviously, you mentioned that you got the drink earlier, so you know the how to do it. Persisting is more of a discipline thing, but one thing that you could do is little timers, for example, during the day, like in the mornings, maybe at night, you could have a couple of timers just to say, here, do some affirmations. You do some affirmations and it'll begin to build that habit, because we are pretty much defined by our habits, whether it's habits of thinking, habits of actions, habits of feelings, it doesn't really matter. But by doing something consistently enough, it will become a habit. So if you can stay consistent because of the timers, it'll get to a point where you'll start going, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I got to start doing my affirmations even before the timer's gone off. Or if you turn it off, you'll sort of naturally start to do it. So if you struggle with persisting and discipline, I'd recommend maybe trying some timers until it becomes a natural habit. Solani says, can you describe how to do revision? So revision on the YouTube space, in my opinion, is made out to be some massive ritualistic, light 20 candles, do a front flip process in order to make it happen. Revision is essentially telling yourself that the old story happened different, as opposed to feeding yourself a new story that hasn't happened yet. So it's taking an event or series of events or your experience and saying this happened different. Whereas when normally we would manifest, it would be my current experience is different, because insert whatever it is that you want. So when it comes to revision, let me just give you an example, because you don't actually detail an example here. So I'm just going to make one up. If it's the idea of, maybe you've experienced your entire life not feeling pretty enough. People have constantly said to you that you're not pretty, and that's created this story in your head that you're not pretty. A simple revision in this kind of instance could literally be an affirmation such as, I've always been told that I'm extremely pretty and desirable, for example. By saying I always have been told, you are stating that your history, your entire past has always been a case of I've been told how pretty I am, or however you choose to word it. That is enough to revise something. That is enough to revise a story, because it's telling your subconscious mind, which I don't know if you were here at that point in the stream, but earlier on I said that it doesn't have the concept of past, present, and future, or what's real and what's not. By saying I always have been, you're feeding this new story of my experience has never been anything other than I've always been told that I'm pretty. That is revision. That is all that you need to do to revise a series of events. If it's a specific event, like let's take the person a second ago wants to the event, she didn't go to the event with her specific person. A revision could have been, I am so grateful I got to go to the event with person. That is revision enough, because all it's doing is taking the event and saying this is actually how it happened, or it's taking a series of events or an experience and saying this is actually what it was. That's all that you need to do for revision. If it's visualization, you could and it's a specific event, you could just visualize it going a different route. I.e., if it's a breakup, you could visualize them saying, actually, no, let's give it another shot, and then you two together. That's all that you need to do for revision. It's literally just taking a story, understanding what you want it to be instead, and then claiming that it's always been that way, or that's how it actually went, and then going on with your day, then redirecting it back to that point whenever you choose to do so. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just the way that you would affirm your future, i.e., I'm in a relation. Oh, sorry, the way that you would affirm your present as if it's your future now. I'm in this relationship with person is exactly what you do with revision, just with the past. I have been in this relationship with person, or I have always been in this relationship, or whatever it is that you wanted to do. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. American Girl says, my sister gave me her exams of matric without studying much. I mean, with littlest studying, and her exam results are coming in a week, so she can manifest the full marks and first position in matric exams. That's hard to read.
My sister gave.
Okay, so she sat the exam is what you're saying. I thought you meant gave as in like gave you her exam. I was like, hang on, what? In this kind of instance, her best bet would to be just to dwell in the end result of it being done. That's all that she could really be asked to do, because she sat the exam. There are people out there there are people out there that say that when they revise certain instances, they outright change what has already been done so that something different then shows up in their 3D reality as an existing thing. An example that I always use is Sammy Ingram, a video that I watched, I think it was a year ago or so, maybe even more, where she said that she revised a shopping bag and it randomly just appeared in her kitchen. So she's had the experience of revising something and then it actually changing her 3D from a material standpoint in that moment. So the best thing that she can do for herself is to affirm or do whatever technique that she would want to do, or you could do it for her, sort of thing, if you could place your focus on it, um, of having the result that she would want to have, and just allow it to happen. And whatever happens, let it happen, so to speak. And hopefully, if Sammy's Ingram experience of revision happens for everyone, then hopefully that will change the scores that she gets. But if she's already sat it, then I would say that the best bet is to just dwell in the end and hope for the best. Anita Joseph says, is there something called manifesting with bad or selfish intentions? Example, I'm manifesting a promotion at work, but my colleague is equally deserving of the promotion, but I would want the promotion. So the only times where I ever think that it's selfish or bad intention is when someone's coming from like a very bad place when doing so. For example, I'm super insecure, therefore I can't stand the idea of my specific person being around other men. So what I'm going to do is affirm that they only ever spend their time with me 24/7. That, in my opinion, is coming from kind of a bad place, because it's sort of saying like, because I'm so insecure, I'm going to, cage you essentially. That, in those kind of instances, I don't think it's the best thing to do. So I would recommend like building up your self concept to then, dwell in the end result from a more sort of loving standpoint. But in your instance, I don't think that this is a bad thing. You desire a promotion. She could quite easily get a promotion somewhere else or at a different time, or you might even both get promoted at the same time. Who knows? But you're not in the wrong for having a desire. Just because she's equally as deserving of it, then she'll get a different opportunity. But if this is what you want, you're not in the wrong to have it. There's plenty of jobs out there. There's plenty of promotion opportunities out there.
And
you deserve it.
I was just going to say as well, just because you get the promotion doesn't mean that you are the reason she didn't. Like, I know that sounds weird, but you wanting something and going for it and then getting it is not the reason why she didn't get it. It's, she may have not actually wanted it. She may have want something better. She may want to move and not work at that company anymore. There may be 100 million other things that she wants to do way more than it anyway. She might be putting all of her focus into moving across the world. And, you getting it doesn't mean that she didn't get it because you wanted it, sort of thing. And you wanting something isn't harming somebody else. If you were doing like everything in your power to make sure she did not get that promotion because you didn't want her to have it, then, that's you intentionally causing harm to that person. But you're just going for something that you want. You aren't saying you can't have it because I want it and therefore you'll have nothing. She has a million other options, thousands, and like she can go and do anything she wants in the entire world. So that was just a bit of a off ramble there, but I don't think that wanting something and going for it is in any way harming other people, because there are just so many other options. Like, there are so many other things, and also a lot of the time we just assume that everybody wants that same thing as us. We have this assumption that it is so amazing, I love it so much, that everybody wants it. But a lot of the time, nobody else wants it. It's just you. So why stop yourself going for something that you think that other people might want, when there's nothing really that says that they definitely want that,
Your your success doesn't equal someone else's failure. It's basically a rule that you should live by whenever it comes to like the idea of like, oh, well, if I get this and someone else is losing out. No, your failure, your success doesn't equal their failure. They, like Kay says, they have plenty of other opportunities. Spark of Inspiration says, hey, Vanch, this side, I was saying SP situation. She said even to the 3P that she loves me so much that she can't live without me, but she doesn't love me romantically. Now we were together before. So that's in, and then it says, can you just tell me how to stabilize instantly if I see something in the 3D? Okay, so is that the changed account from Vanch to this one? because it's asking the same question. Okay, so I'm a bit confused. I think that it's the same person that's swapped onto a different account, question mark, because they've like asked the same question and then tried to explain a very similar story. Either way, it doesn't really matter whether it is the same person or it isn't, whether I'm just getting confused and being stupid. A way to stabilize yourself in the immediate future or in the immediate present, like I said earlier, to answer Vanch's question, um, is to work on that fight or flight response, is to take those few deep breaths, is to calm yourself down, is to actually slow your breathing down and allow yourself to think more clearly. If you go into a fight or flight response and then you try to basically just do whatever comes to mind in that response, it's never really going to be from a place of calmness. It's never really going to be the best thing for you. I know I don't really advocate Joe Dispenza's work that much, but there was a thing that he spoke about in a video that I saw not too long ago where he was essentially saying that anytime you try to create from a negative mindset, you are basically 100% of the time going to be doing worse for yourself than if you were to do nothing at all, which I 100% agree with. So it would be better for yourself to notice that you're in a negative state and then try to stabilize yourself through breath work, meditation, exercise, something that can kind of blow off some steam and not have you just thinking, this is the best thing for me, I'm going to barrel at it, because that's when obviously some negatives can usually come from it. I recommend breath work just because it's a thing that you can do at any time and it doesn't really take a lot out of you. And by doing this, by slowing your breathing down, by taking sort of deep breaths, pausing, then letting it out slowly, you're going to slowly bring yourself back out of that fight or flight response and into a more stable position where you can then choose a different focus.
I was just going to very quickly say that one of the best techniques that I personally use for the fight or flight anxiety kind of spiral is grounding. So just an instant reminder to your brain that you are here right now. So the best way to do that, the one that goes to your brain the quickest, is a sense of smell. So yeah, if you use any of your senses, so like smell, taste, touch, literally just ground yourself for a few seconds, like hit something, smell something, do something that just reminds you that the thing that you are most scared of is not happening right this moment. It is not happening to you in that current second. And then from that second, you'll have a much better way to respond. Because if you can, because basically what happens is it's like all of the stuff in your brains, the chemicals and everything like that, they like, there's like a very small part, a very primal part of your brain from, you know, when we needed to suddenly be able to fight or flight or freeze. And everything rushes to that. And all of the symptoms that are caused by an anxiety attack are the natural body response. They are just your natural body response. The racing heart is to get them as much blood to your brain as possible. Your fingers and your toes going numb is because you don't need them to run. You don't need them to hit, sort of thing. It needs it in your, I know, but like, genuinely, it sucks it all away and puts it into like the muscles that you do need to run and stuff like that. So all of those like actual anxiety attack symptoms are literally just your body's natural response. So if you can just stop it and just remind yourself very quickly, instantly, that, you know, you are here in this moment, that horrible thing is not happening to you right this second, then you have a much better way of them reacting to it through your mind. So, you know, your brain, all of the rest of it gets shut off. You can't actually start to imagine like better scenarios or anything like that, because all of your brain power goes to that one little tiny bit where it's like threat, like literally. So that's why once that starts to, like, you know, you're in threat mode, you start to visualize and see and think of all the possible things that could possibly be a threat to you. So your brain instantly goes, could it be this, could it be that, could it be this, could it? So if you can ground yourself and just stop it like in the second by, like, you know, using like a sense of smell or something like that, then you can then logically say, no, that's not happening, no, that's not happening, no, because you slowly begin to get your brain power back. I hope that makes sense.
Hopefully it helps. In my 20s says, yes, it's arranged. Thank you, by the way. You're very welcome. Hopefully what I gave you was at least good enough to work on in an arranged scenario, because I don't really know like the rules and stuff around it. Obviously rules don't matter from a manifestation perspective, but I know people that have arranged marriages like to abide by certain rules, so I don't know them, and therefore I don't know what to help from that perspective. But from a manifestation standpoint, you can still have anything regardless of whether it's a arranged marriage, a love marriage, or whatever, basically. But then you say, just one last doubt. If I'm living in the end and think about him once in a while, will it take longer or should I still affirm throughout the day? Thanks again. So I recommend keeping vigilant with your thoughts. Now, you don't need to be doing something all day, every day. That, like, we've all had experiences where we've manifested something like that just by simply thinking about it a handful of times. So it's not like you have to affirm all day, every day, but I personally think it's good because in your end result, you would be occupying that state of someone who has your desire quite consistently throughout the day. I go about my day as someone who is in a relationship with Katie. I don't do it sporadically. It's not like I'll just randomly go, I'm not going to be in a relationship for this moment and then just not be in it. I'll be in that state consistently. So because of that, when it comes to affirming, which is obviously putting you in that state, it doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily a bad thing if you do just stay vigilant with your affirmations and keep redirecting yourself back to that state, because in your end result, you'd experience it consistently anyway. But if you find you're not thinking much opposing thoughts about something, then you don't need to affirm or think as much in the positive state because there's not as much counteracting it, which is why things we care less about tend to happen with very few thoughts. And the things that we care a lot about seem to take the extra bit of focus. So I would recommend just staying vigilant, basically. And if you feel like you need to up your affirming, up your affirming. If you feel like you're still in that state more dominantly than you're not, then you're fine. Going to answer a couple more just because obviously we have to head off and hopefully, yeah. Jakari Snow says that's so cute. Thank you very much. Life Healing Spa says, I have a question that I've been thinking about for a long time, but never got around to typing it. What about schizophrenic people who literally live in their imagination every single day? It's really funny, actually. I get this question an awful lot, and I actually don't have an answer for it. Now, I know that's probably not the thing I should be saying because I should be trying to prove to you that I am the all-knowing being, but I don't like lying to you, so I'm not going to. I don't know. I don't know why schizophrenic people don't have the ability to manifest everything like that, considering they are completely invested in it wholeheartedly. My theory, because I've had this question a lot and I've thought about it, my theory is purely because of the basis that because they're schizophrenic, there's obviously clearly something not quite wiring properly in their mind. And as a result, that may be getting in the way. But I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not anything that could even start talking about the psychology of a schizophrenic out on its own anyway, let alone when you incorporate it into manifestation. So I don't have a conclusive answer for you, and I'm not even going to try to make one up. That's just my theory, but I don't know. It does seem very strange that they wouldn't get things instantly, but I don't have anything more for you. I know it doesn't help, but hopefully it was at least yeah. What are you going to say?
No, I don't think I will say it. I have a theory, but I leave it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to accidentally offend people with schizophrenia with this theory of mine. So I'd rather just not say it because it's just a theory and I don't know and I'm not trained medically or otherwise.
Guardian says, very interesting to hear your take on music. As a massive music fan myself, your story was very interesting. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad it interests you. Jane says, my eldest son, which is 20, said to me, is Matthew into metal? Yes, I am. I'm into deathcore and metalcore predominantly. But yeah, new metal, death metal, all that kind of stuff. I'm into just generally all kinds of metal. So absolutely.
Every kind of metal.
Pretty much. Kerry says, do you like the song Drum and Bass Father? Can't say that I've ever heard of it. And I imagine if it's to do with drum and bass, then probably not.
I think I know which song that is, and I'm gonna say no, you don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna decide for him there. I don't think he does.
Oh, okay. And I'm gonna do two more. Crimson Music says, like the stream out. Yeah, absolutely. If we could all like the stream, that'd be very helpful. I'm gonna do two more after that because that wasn't really a proper thing. Summer Rain says, hi Matt, hi Katie, howdy, howdy. And then says, can you talk about inner conversations? It's confusing. Okay, so inner conversation is essentially just the conversations that you have within your mind. So some people, well, not some people, everyone will have inner conversations within themselves or to themselves, and everyone will have conversations with their sort of specific people. A lot of people tend to have them. I'm assuming you mean specific person. Well, I don't know what you mean in this, but I'm going to go with specific person as the example. In a lot of cases, it'll be those little arguments that you've had in your head, like where you've taken the trash out and the other person hasn't noticed, and you're like, fucking ass, like notice that I've taken the bin out. But no, it's those kind of like those arguments that you have in your head. It's like when you're talking to a person and they say something mean or they say something good. It's the conversations essentially when you're imagining yourself having a conversation with someone, or when you're talking to yourself, like if you're about to I don't know, try practicing a new instrument. You fuck up a few times and like, you just can't do this. I can't do it. And it's that kind of that voice in your head, so to speak, that sort of says you can or can't do it. Why are you looking at me like this?
Because some people, I found out the other day, some people do not have an inner voice.
Oh, we're not going into all of that. I'm just
Some
going to
people
answer the
don't.
question. We're not going to go into all of that.
No, but some people don't. So how do they have inner conversations?
I feel like they're people just being dramatic, trying to be different. But either way, regardless of you trying to interrupt it with that, it's essentially just the conversations
I
that go
wasn't
on
trying to
within your mind.
interrupt.
You are being proper like,
I was just waiting to tell
notice
you.
me, notice me,
I was
notice
just waiting to
me.
tell you
But
because it blew my mind.
either way, it's the conversations you have in your head. It's whether you're having a conversation with your person, arguing with them, sort of speaking nicely to them, or whatever, or it's the conversations you have with yourself. That's essentially all an inner conversation is. And it's about redirecting those conversations to what it is that you want. So instead of having those arguments, have loving conversations with them. Imagine yourself talking to them about how amazing it is to be with them. Your subconscious mind doesn't know that that thought is. Oh, let me screen. Your subconscious mind doesn't know that that thought is real or isn't. It just goes, we're having this conversation, must be happening right now. When you're talking to yourself, your subconscious mind doesn't know that you're hyping yourself up. It just assumes that if you're saying those words, it must be true that you're amazing at that, at a guitar or whatever it is that you're talking to yourself about. It's about the conversations that you have and try to direct them to be conversations that are in line with what you want to happen instead. And for want of a better term, it's kind of like a mixture between affirmations and visualizations, just without the visual aspect and less sort of structured as an affirmation. You're just saying in your head and having a conversation, and that impresses your subconscious mind. One more. Uh, Oliver K says, "Hey Matt, really appreciate your help with the email coaching. You're very welcome. Glad to help. I got a question. Every time I meet a girl and we love each other, they leave the country or city weeks later. What affirmations to fix that?" So in this kind of instance, there's probably some kind of internal story that you have going on that once you start well, I mean, you say it there essentially that once you start getting invested in someone, they then go on to leave. So my assumption is there might be some kind of, and it's worth looking into this deeper, obviously internally, but there might be some kind of maybe abandonment issue, which is playing out here, or like once you start to fall in love with them, you then have this kind of feel that they become unobtainable to you, or something along those kinds of lines. But an affirmation that you can trial and it's worth working with, maybe sort of rewording or whatever, but something that you could um, trial is an affirmation sort of along the lines of, once I'm in a relationship, we both do everything we can to make it work. Or once I'm in a relationship, I can trust that they're going to stay with me forever, or something along those lines. But essentially, what you would want to do is sort of advocate that once you're in this relationship, it stays. Once you're in this relationship, you two are like committed together and they're not going anywhere. You want to sort of advocate the idea of, now that we're together, that's it. It's us. We're together. You're not leaving me. We're staying together. And have an affirmation of that kind of vein. There's a couple of suggestions that I gave you there, but just have a sort of sit with it and have a think to see what you can come up with, essentially. But thank you everyone for showing up to today's live stream. Hope it was helpful. Obviously, if you want more content from me, I do have the membership where you can get tons of worksheets and videos and all that kind of stuff, which I do highly recommend you check out, just because I definitely think it's worth it. And we have had a huge influx of people this month, so clearly a lot of other people think it's worth it also, which I'm going to post here. So I do recommend you check that out. If you are wanting to work with me one-to-one, my website is in the description of this live stream, as well as any other video that I post. And yeah, if you're not following my Instagram and TikTok, they're both just Mind Over This Matrix, and they just have, more content for you available. And thank you very much, all of you, for showing up to this live stream. And I hope you have a really good rest of your day. Bye bye.